Hi, welcome to my channel, My Great Wall of Manga. I'm Amanda and I've been in love with manga for well over a decade. In fact, I even built a wall out of it. On this channel, I'll be pulling a series off the wall at random, and we'll go over a quick summary, introduce you to some of the main characters of the series, and I'll give you 5 reasons why you should read this manga. Okay, this episode we're going to be looking at the manga Kamisama Kiss by Juliet Suzuki. Okay, the story of Kamisama Kiss is about Nanami, and she's a pretty happy-go-lucky average high school student that has some really bad luck. One day she comes home from school and finds that her dad is gone, and there's a note on the table. Surprise, surprise, her dad has run away from home. He has had problems with gambling and drinking for years, and finally the debt has gotten too big, so he skipped town and left everything for Nanami to deal with. That means she's left with all of the debt, all of the bills, all of the debt collectors that her dad was involved with, and no money. So very quickly she was thrown out of the apartment and found herself homeless. While she was sitting on a park bench, kind of bemoaning her bad luck, she heard a dog barking. Well, it ended up that a kind of small dog had chased a guy up a tree. And so she went over and shooed the dog away, and the man was very thankful, and she started chatting with him, and she ended up telling him her whole story. And so he decided that as thanks for saving him from the dog, it was okay if she stayed at his house. Well, he did mention that just like her father, he had kind of run away from home, and so there was nobody there, and somebody really should stop by. And so Nanami agreed that she would go and live at the house for a little bit, and as thanks, he gave her a peck on the forehead and gave her directions to his home. Well, his home was high up on a mountain, but with a little trouble, Nanami did find it, but what she found wasn't a house. It was a shrine. An old, derelict, haunted shrine. Once again, Nanami's bad luck strikes. Well, it ends up that little peck on the forehead she got from the guy, that transferred his godly powers to her. So now she's the local demigod of the decrepit, nasty old shrine. Okay, and now for the characters. First up is Nanami. Nanami is super energetic, very happy-go-lucky, which is kind of surprising because she has really bad luck. She can be overly helpful at times, even when she really should mind her own business. She kind of noses her way in and tries to help anyway. Sometimes that turns out good, sometimes it doesn't. But for the most part, she's kind of an average high school girl. She is really into celebrities, she's not that interested in going to school that much, and she honestly prefers to just laze around and watch TV if she can get away with it. But even though she can be a bit lazy, when it comes down to it, she's a very nice person. Next up is Tomoe. Tomoe is the fox spirit, guardian spirit of the shrine, and he works kind of like a butler. He's in charge of keeping the place clean, or as clean as he can, making food for whoever is in charge there, keeping everything organized, and also recording all the prayers that people make at the shrine. So he's actually a very busy guy, but he does none of it cheerfully. He's like the exact opposite of Nanami. Nanami is happy with most of the things she does. Tomoe is grumpy with most of the things he does. What's also kind of cool is Tomoe has because he's a fox spirit, he has transformation powers. So he can transform himself, but he can also transform other people and other things, which that's kind of cool. Next up is Mikage. Mikage is the former god of the shrine, and he's the guy that passed on all his powers to poor Nanami. His character is mentioned and referenced a lot in the series, and the story does kind of hinge around him and what his activities are, but he's not actually present in the story. It's just people thinking of him or talking about him or the end results of things that he's done. So it's kind of an interesting character where he's present, but he's not actually present in the story. And one little quirk is he's afraid of dogs. That's why he had a fox spirit be the guardian spirit of the shrine, because a fox can do the same work, but isn't actually a dog. Next up is two little characters, Onikiri and Kotetsu. They're two little helper spirits. These two are kind of interesting. They take the form of children wearing masks and little, like, children's kimono. And they're full of information. They help Nanami a ton with all sorts of traditions and what she's supposed to do as the new local deity. But weirdly enough, they can't actually do a whole lot themselves. They can't really cook, they can't clean, they can't leave the shrine, and it almost seems like they can't even touch things. It's very odd. So they're kind of there just for information. Now, 5 reasons why you should read Kamisama Kiss. Well, for one thing, it's a really long series, like really long. So if you want a long comedy drama that you can enjoy for many, many volumes, this is definitely a good one. Skip Beat is pretty long, but this one is just as long. So if you like long series, definitely grab it. Number 2, it's very funny. It is definitely a comedy. There's a lot of things that happen simply because Nanami was being too helpful or too happy-go-lucky or too in the spirit to goof off. And some of the stuff happens simply because Nanami just likes being lazy and she was trying to get out of work. So, very funny. Number 3. Japanese culture. If you're really into Japanese culture and want to learn more about the Shinto religion without it being too much of a religious-y text, this is a super fun way of getting some hints and some themes of what would be found in the Shinto religion. So, it goes into the major deities in the Shinto religion and different festivals or ceremonies that happen at the Shinto temples and the Shinto shrines. Yeah, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that sort of thing, this is actually a really good series for that. Number 4, it's a fun blend of modern and folklore, because this doesn't happen 200 years in the past, this happens in the present time. Nanami is a modern high school student, so she spends a lot of time watching TV and looking at her phone and stuff. And that's blended with Tomoe, which is definitely a element of the distant past. I mean, he wears a kimono all the time. He doesn't really understand what a TV is. He's extremely traditional. So it's a fun mix of the folklore with the yokai and the Shinto shrine spirits and the ancient traditions and very modern high school stuff. And number 5, if you like Noragami or Blackbird or Gabakawa, you're definitely going to like this. Noragami for the references to the Shinto shrines and deity system. Blackbird for Japanese folklore in modern times, and Gabakawa for just goofy, energetic, spunky, playful main characters. So anyhow, that is my review of Kamisama Kiss. Thank you for visiting my channel, My Great Wall of Manga. If you're interested in anime too, please visit my website, animehanabi.com.